The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Acuma, its board of directors, its management staff, or its members. The podcast discussion presented is conversational in nature and for general information only.
Hello and welcome to Acuma's On Point Podcast, a series focused on sharing the stories of people who are making a positive impact in the credit union mortgage industry. I'm your host, Peter Benjamin. We have a great episode ahead. We have to do a little Acuma housekeeping before I introduce our co-host and our guest, Krista, the wonderful Krista. How are you doing today?
Hey, Peter. I'm doing great. How about you?
I am, living the dream. Thank you for asking.
We all are. We all are.
Yes, we are. Hey, what's the latest and greatest happening with it over on the Acuma event side?
So I'm really excited. The March workshop is literally right around the corner, coming up in Dallas next week. So we do have space available. If you want to get a last minute registration in and hotel room, just contact me after you hear the podcast or anytime. I'm happy to help you get registered. So we're really excited about the workshops this year. And then if you can't make Dallas, please come to Louisville, Kentucky in June. Mm-hmm. Same curriculum, same speakers, but different location and yet another awesome workshop for Acuma.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to both events, and I appreciate you humoring me with going to Louisville as a bourbon fan.
I think there's a few bourbon distilleries there, maybe just a couple.
One or two. One or two. Yes. But I appreciate you humoring me and allowing me, boss, to go to Louisville. So thank you.
That's okay. So just so you know, next year's workshops are going to Napa Valley so that I can have wine.
They're not going to Napa Valley. Don't quote her on that. They might, but we'll see. We'll see. So okay. we have the workshops. What else we have going on in the near future?
So our virtual programming is really robust this year. We have a couple of different types of webinars. We push them out 2, 3, 4 per month. So definitely keep an eye on our LinkedIn company page and our website, so that you can attend any of these webinars. They're free, they're educational, and they are awesome, sponsored by a lot of our great affiliate vendors. So just stay tuned to any of our webinars we have coming up. And we did release our brand new Young Professionals Network webinar series.
Just a few weeks ago, right?
Yes. We just had our first one in February, and we'll have another one in Q2. So again, stay tuned to our social media for dates and topics on that Young Professionals Network webinar.
All right, I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know you don't like it, but I'm happy you're here.
That's okay. Thank you so much for having me, Peter.
My pleasure. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Today's episode is being brought to you by Lender Price. Lender Price has been supporting credit unions with superior product, pricing, and eligibility technology. Lender Price's modern and proven product and pricing engine provides credit unions with best-in-class integrations, a full product and rate support, custom workflows, and it's simply easy to use. It's Lender Price's goal to improve the overall home financing experience for both members and loan originators.
Joining me to help with the conversation are two amazing co-hosts. We have Dewar Alimi, the founder and CEO of Lender Price, along with Lender Price's EVP of Sales, Dustin McClellan. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
My pleasure.
We are also living the dream.
That's right. Living the dream. I'm a big fan of Lender Price. I sat down with Rick from your marketing department, and he kind of just shared your vision, Dewar, for Lender Price and where you want to take it and how you want to make a positive impact in our industry. Just because I understand, who know a little bit about Lender Price, and I've got an opportunity to get to know you and the two of you and the team. We may have some listeners who may not know much about Lender Price. So do me a favor, walk us through some of the amazing things that you're doing over at Lender Price.
Yeah. So, I mean, like our mission is really to democratize pricing for all. Although we service some of the largest banks out there, our key focus is credit unions, offering credit unions a lot of the features and functionalities that these large institutions have, provide a better user experience, not just on the front end, but especially on the back end. Just make things really freaking simple. It's the best software there's a book called Don't Make Me Think, right? You want software that doesn't make you think, that you can just go in and out, that's simple to use, and that just gets the job done. And that's pretty much what we strive for. We're obsessed at listening to our credit union members and hearing like what they feel we need to do. And then we're excited about putting that on our product roadmap. But more importantly, we're also excited that offering a solution that is cost effective in the current market that we're in is really important. And we also work with our clients. I mean, given the climate that we're in right now, we often find some clients that says, look, you know what, I'm sorry, but my origination volume is not that high anymore. Can you work with me? And we're there for them. We will be there for them, always. So, we've got a lot of features and functionality I could geek out and talk about, but I'll leave that up to folks, and they could, contact us, and we'd love to give them a demo if they, if they like to see our solution.
That's awesome. Hey, I appreciate that. And I wrote down the name of that book, and I'm going to definitely buy it on Amazon. Or we're not officially. I'm supposed to say this. We're not officially sponsored by Amazon. We have no affiliation with Amazon. I should not have slipped. I should have said something along the lines of that online retailer that's named after a river in South America. I should have said that. Sorry. But anyways, I'm going to get that book. But yeah, so. Let's go ahead and move on and kind of bring on our special guest. Our guest today is Andy Woodman, the Vice President of Mortgage Lending and Loan Trading with Georgia United Credit Union. Andy is also the president of the Southeast Credit Union Real Estate Network, also known as Curins. Andy, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, Peter. It is a pleasure to be joining the Peter Benjamin Show. For the record,
every day.
This was not going to be in like the Between Two Ferns format, so I just want to make sure we establish that.
I love that.
No. This, I told you at the very beginning, we have to keep this as PG as possible. That's leaning towards PG-13, maybe a little bit over, but we can pivot if you want, Andy. We totally can.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Andy, over actually almost the past year, I've had the pleasure of getting to know you, learning more about, Georgia United Credit Union, your contributions to the credit union mortgage industry. At the same time, you were gracious enough to invite me down to the Southeast Curins annual conference. And I really got to see you in action. Especially as it relates to the topic that we want to discuss today, and that topic is going to be based off of almost creating an environment based off a culture of learning that supports growth. Right, that's really the underlining topic. Again, creating an environment for growth based off learning, and I witnessed that. I felt it when I was down there at the Curin. I mean, you guys put on, a great event for your network members, and I could sense that you were fully invested in that learning experience. You had a lot of great speakers. You had a lot of great content, and let's be honest, you guys are also having a lot of fun with that. I should have worn my T-shirt.
I know your shirt. Yes.
I have a T-shirt, and there was a gentleman. That there's a picture of him on it, and he has several badges from an Acuma conference on his shirt, and it says, "Was it I am secure and so can you," or something like that. It's I am Mr.
Hello, my name is.
There you go. Hello, my name is.
And we have to give all the credit to Acuma, because it's only because of Acuma that those pictures are possible. So, and admittedly,
the blackmailing pictures. The
Curin borrows a lot from Acuma. So kudos to y'all, because y'all put together a great format and show for us to kind of pilfer and steal from. So
we know mimicry is the highest form of flattery. So that's good. So let's kind of dive into today's topic, culture of learning that supports growth, right? Let's kind of get started. So, it's Dustin, why don't you jump on in and let's be part of this conversation. Let's really hammer Andy with some between two ferns questions.
Well, since I was instructed specifically not to go that direction, why don't we just start off on, Andy, maybe just telling us a little bit about your thoughts on, what are the benefits of establishing a culture of learning? And for you, how does that translate into growth?
Sure. I think it's as I think back, how I got to my position, right, in my role is there were people that invested in me, right? And so I think it's as leaders, it's kind of our moral obligation to make sure that we kind of do the same. And I'm very grateful, the organization I'm a part of at Georgia United, that's kind of very much at the forefront of what we kind of look to do. By investing in our people, we can't, that's the recipe for success right there, right? You think back to in 2020, had we not taken the steps to make sure we were adequately cross-training and teaching people new roles, we wouldn't have been able to handle and accommodate the volume, that kind of came down the pipe all of a sudden on us. So right there, again, we don't capture what we were able to close over those 2.5 years without making sure we properly went ahead and trained up and gave people the opportunity to really shine and show what they can do.
So you've talked about your mentors, right? You've been given opportunities throughout your career. One of the things that often happens, and I think it's actually quite relevant to where we are today, 2023, we just came off. Now, I can easily say we just came off 2022. We're still very much, in the first quarter. 2022 is very interesting. A lot of cutbacks, and we hear about layoffs. We read the news, interest rates. We can just go down the laundry list, right? One of the first things always cut: training, right? That learning component. So how do you stay vested in that when times get tough? We've been through these cycles, but when times get tough, how do you stay focused on that learning?
So, obviously, as an institution size-wise, you'll find, I think, when you get outside of the core retail operations, right, the training does tend to fall on us as a department. So it's a matter of identifying those individuals that have that knowledge to pass down. At the same time, too, where we've had the biggest pickup is organizations like Acuma, MBA, the MIs, there's so many resources out there for us that we don't have to go and kind of create it from scratch. So, I'm a huge advocate of my team joining, becoming a part of, being active with these groups, because again, you learn not just through the courses you all have to offer, it's through the events, it's through talking to others, it's the whole foundation of Curins and Acuma itself, right? Like credit union space, we share ideas and it's the best place to learn.
Andy, just curious, what challenges do you face when you're trying to create an environment of growth? Are there any challenges?
Absolutely. It's, again, depending on the time and, be it seasonality or again, production wise, you look at 20 and 21, it's finding the time to do it, making sure you invest the time and exactly. Allow people the opportunity to do it. Because again, taking someone from one role that they're doing and then having to teach them something different, you have to make sure you can cover and account for, whatever volume and responsibilities those folks have. That's probably one of the biggest things.
Are there any strategies? Like one is top of mind?
A lot of it is I'm a firm believer in listening and giving people the opportunity to. That's it's funny. Sorry to ignore. That's one thing that Rick, our marketing person, he said, what's your New Year's resolution? My New Year's resolution this year is to listen more. Yep. Right. It's if you give people the opportunity to talk, usually they'll kind of lay out for you. They may not know exactly what the plan they want is, but they'll give you enough nuggets that it's kind of, again, it falls to us to kind of give them options to find, what they're calling, where they really do fit in. I tell my team all the time, my goal is to make them the most well-rounded mortgage professional I can. At some point, hopefully I can retire and I need to find that person to take my seat. And I'd love for it to come from this team, right? To me, there's no greater compliment than to take someone internally and then just coach them up and let them run the show someday.
Absolutely.
Hey, as a follow-up to that, I'm curious, because one of the things that we're doing at Lender Price is we are actually looking at, and we have an established kind of organizational policies and procedures about that in cross-training. And like you said, some of the things that you can do with outside sources, but we also try and establish a culture for our management team for that, so that they can exude that to their team. And I'm curious if you have found what works for you, and what do you think about that?
So I have to, again, tip my cap to my credit union here, right? So our executive team has taken it upon themselves to invest in us as leaders, not just at the exec level, but at the VP, SVP level. So they've brought in coaching specifically for us, where at least once a month, they sit with us and help us, again, kind of assess what we're doing. My boss, our CLO, she's been fantastic. I told her things that I wanted to learn, and she's finding the time to carve out to allow me the opportunity to even grow, outside of the mortgage space itself. It just requires a commitment to it and a dedication to it, and having upper management know that, there's nothing but, positives to gain by just, again, investing in your people.
So Andy, it's that continued investment, it's that continued, education, right? So when you're focusing on you, like, what are you doing to continue your education? That way because part of this is leadership, right? What are you doing for yourself to make sure that you are a better leader and better prepared, better educated to lead them through 2023 and in 2024, perhaps?
A lot of reading. I think it's vastly underrated. There's obviously a ton of, books and things like that out there. For me too, it's taking the time, it's the little moments, right? It's having lunches with leaders here. I'm a big advocate. I go and try and have lunch once a quarter with the other credit union leaders here in our market, right? It's just to share and pick their brains a little bit, which again, just kind of helps further, my cause. I'm getting to the point where I'm almost an old dog, and getting new tricks, to teach me is a little hard. My wife will say I'm obviously a stubborn mule, but you have to, again, sometimes just look past yourself. Wow. You have to look past yourself and realize, again, it not only impacts me, but it does impact the team as at large.
So I've seen you in action. You have a passion for learning. You bring a strong, and you believe in a positive culture, and you're establishing that at Georgia United within your department, and same with Accurian. Do me a favor, just give us an example of someone that you're just extremely proud of. That you because part of it of our success as leaders is mentoring someone to greatness, right? Give me an example of someone that you've done that and the things that you did to really foster their success to the point where you're like, hey, this person could be the next me, take my position one day.
Sure. Honestly, there's multiples. I don't want to leave anybody out, but,
without naming names, you don't have to name names.
Sure,
Just give an example.
So we've had people come over from, other areas, collections, our call centers, people with zero mortgage experience, to be quite honest with you. And we've kind of established this pattern. It seems like they all kind of slot into our servicing or our post-closing area, and then they kind of move their way up. And for me, with my background started in the ops side before I went into sales. So I think, I'm a proponent of that. I think having the ability to see the workings, again, how the sausage is made before you necessarily go out and do loans. I think it's a vastly underrated experience for people. I think it gives context to salespeople. It allows them to better counsel and help others. But to your question, again, we had someone come over from collections who joined our servicing team. Again, this was someone that just kind of really exhibited those traits you look for in a leader, right? Self-starter. took ownership of things. It wasn't somebody I had to say something to twice. Then all of a sudden she's a supervisor. Now she's the manager of that area, right? And this is over the course of 3 or 4 years. So, and again, it's someone with no prior mortgage real estate lending background experience whatsoever. Our ops manager here has been with the credit union, good Lord, I think for 24, 25 years. And again, it was one of those things where I think she was just stuck in a pattern and nobody really took the time to listen to her ideas. And lo and behold, good Lord, she'd seen enough. She had some brilliant ones, and things we implemented immediately had dramatic effect on, operational efficiencies we gained. And now she's, the director of the manager of operations here. So, it's again, it just goes to giving people the opportunity, just to listen. You have to identify it. I mean, obviously you want to make sure that they're in tune with it. I've got others that, again, I've tried to give the opportunity to, and you know what, they're happy doing what they're doing, and God bless them. I mean, I'm happy that they're, that they're content with where they are in life. I tell my kids that all the time. I mean, the most important lesson I can tell you is find your passion, be good at it, and just make sure you don't get tired of it. So,
it almost seems as though, in that example, the person you described was just so excited that you were actually listening to them and cared about something that they wanted. They were going to do anything for you. Right. And I mean, that's awesome. Right.
I can say, and it's funny, my VP of HR said, for the longest run, my team had basically zero turnover. And so I think when people see that they have the opportunity to move and succeed and, they don't want to go look elsewhere, they're genuinely happy. And, to me, that's a point of pride for the mortgage team here.
Okay. That's awesome. So, as you look ahead, right, what's the words of wisdom that you're giving your team right now? You've built a strong culture. They've bought into you as a leader. What is that? Because again, you've said it time and time again. You listen. You make sure that they understand what they need to do. That they're learning from you. They're reading. They're doing everything they need to do. You invested in their education. But what is that words of wisdom that you're giving them right now? So, for example, if Dustin, Dewar, and I were on your team, how would you rally us? It's halftime. How would you pull us in, Coach, and really get us, to want to go and win the game for this year?
Sure. I'd say be genuine, right? So it is a matter of action speaking louder than words. And I think that's the thing that's kind of resonated here is I've told them, I followed through on my commitments to them. And I've been realistic. The key is to be realistic with them on the timing of it too. I think this day and age with the younger generation, I'll use my son. He's a sophomore in college, right? He thinks he's going to come out of school in 2 years, be making 6 figures. And so I'm like,
that's a funny joke.
I was like, son, that's not the way this works. So, but the same thing here is, I tell people you have to understand that the payoff's not immediate. What you're doing and what you're learning is going to pay off down the road. And I've also been very real with them too. I said, obviously there's a finite number of positions. And if you don't have people leave, right, the openings don't create themselves. But I've also committed to them to if it's not here, I will help them find the right place or find the opportunity to succeed to where maybe someday I can bring them back. Now, thankfully, I haven't had to do that. We've had the opportunities to go ahead and promote within, and it's worked out so far there. But at some point, that's going to happen, and I expect to follow through with that with them, and be a man of my word.
That's awesome. It's interesting. I once heard. I love motivational speeches, leadership development, culture development. And I listen to, other podcasts that relate to that. I read a whole bunch of books and, especially with, taking on this position, as the president of Acuma, I've had the pleasure of being able to sit down and listen to a lot of great speakers with the hopes that I can bring them to you as an Acuma member. And someone said, someone said this and it kind of resonated, is that, when you get out of college, you have a large drive, right? But you never know what to expect, right? You want big things, but you never know what to expect. But think about where you are today. Andy, you as the VP of mortgage lending. Dewar, the founder and CEO. Dustin, the executive vice president of sales over at Lender Price, and here I am, just some guy from DC, the president of Acuma, but. I guarantee that our younger selves would be absolutely amazed by how far we came, right? absolutely blown away by what we've made of ourselves, right? We may be hard on ourselves, but our younger selves would have been absolutely amazed. And I say all that because we got here for a reason. We had those mentors. We stayed diligent to learning about our craft, whatever that craft is. We've stayed diligent to it, and here we are today, right? And so that's really a testament to what you're doing over there at Georgia United. So I applaud you for that. So I appreciate you sharing your story. Hey, I want to give Dewar. I have one more question for you before we transition away, but I want to give Dustin and Dewar an opportunity to ask any final questions they may have. No, you guys good. Excellent.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
No, I think it was a wonderful conversation. I definitely appreciated all the insight that Andy brought today. Excited about, bringing some of that back to, expand what we're doing at our organization and how we work with our partners. Cause I think it goes both ways. It's, for us as a vendor, we have that same culture for our partners that we do internally for our employees. And I really appreciate the conversation today.
Yeah, I think it's always important that when you're looking at creating an environment for growth, it's always like, it's just like anything, like you forget, right? And you sometimes have to be reminded. And like you said, Peter, it's like you start reading books, and it's always good to just keep listening to podcasts and just keep, just keeping the interest high. So you're always reminded of the things that you need to do as leaders.
For sure. All right, Andy, last question for you. It's the same question I ask every guest that comes on this podcast. Okay. It's not a hard one. It's the whole idea behind this podcast is to get to know people that make positive impacts in our industry. So this final question really is: what motivates you to get out of bed every single day and give it your all? You get out of your bed, put one foot out of the bed like everyone else does. What motivates you to go and say, "Hey, I'm gonna tackle this day"?
Sure. It's funny. So this would have been a very different answer at very different stages of my career in life, right? So I think back to, where I was when I first joined the credit union. It was the opportunity to truly, help the home buyer, right? Like Georgia United's my first foray into the credit union space. I've been here for almost 7 years now. And prior to that, being community banks and independent mortgage banks or mortgage companies, it's just a different model, a different way of operating. And it kind of sucked the joy out of it for me, to be quite honest with you. So the opportunity to come here and just genuinely help people was 6 years ago. Today, honestly, I walk in every day wondering, again, kind of back with the theme of this podcast is, who am I going to coach up or help today, right? Like what am I going to teach someone new today? Because again, it's just like that transfer of knowledge to me is just pretty paramount at this part of my life and career. And just making sure people learn and understand, it just kind of gets the motor going.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Well, it's about that time that we transition to my second favorite part of this podcast. It's and again, this part of the podcast we kind of reserve for trivia, fun statistics, bad dad jokes. Today we're doing Jeopardy. Now I'll lay out the groundwork in a second. So as I lay out the groundwork, let me go ahead. I know everyone listening, you can't see my screen, but I'm going to go ahead and pull up a little Jeopardy board on my screen so Andy, Dustin, Dewar can see it. On the screen, you guys should see a little Jeopardy board. Now, St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner, so I thought it appropriate to bring up St. Patrick's Day Jeopardy. All right, so I'm going to ask you, we're going to ask each of you 3 questions. And because we don't have buzzers and we can't really buzz in, if you pick the category, you get to answer the question after I ask it. Okay. Whoever answers the most questions correctly and has the highest score, like a normal Jeopardy game show, is the winner of St. Patrick's Day Jeopardy 2023. Sound good?
That'll work.
Sounds good.
All right. So for those listening in, the categories are, again, St. Patrick's Day Jeopardy. The categories are green foods, green things, St. Patrick's Day, Irish math, and Irish symbols. Okay. 5 categories. They score from 100 to 500. So, Andy, you are our special guest. I'll let you go first. And by the way, Andy, at the bottom, you'll be team 1, team 2, team 3. Got it?
All right. Gotcha. Let's go with green foods for 200, Peter.
Green foods for 200. And to make things easy, and for the sake of time, you don't have to answer what is. But look, I could torture you and make you do that. I'm not going to, but we'll make it easy. All right. So, Andy, green foods for 200. It is a green leafy vegetable that can be used in salads.
I'm going to remain true to the Jeopardy game here, Peter, and go, what is lettuce?
What is lettuce? The correct answer is, what is spinach or lettuce? So, Andy, good job. You get 1 point. Get your 200. I love it. All right. So, Dwar, you have the honors of being the second person to go.
Okay. I'll do green foods again. I'll do green foods 300. That's fine.
Green foods for 300. All right. I am a famous meal from a Dr. Seuss book.
Oh my gosh. Green eggs and ham?
The answer is, look at me scoring you already without actually showing you. What is green eggs and ham? Good job, Dwar. You got your points. Excellent job.
Hold on. Time out, Peter. For context, is Google off limits in this game? I think I saw Dustin typing, just for the record.
Dustin was frantically typing. He really was. He was.
Not that I was going to try and help my mentor here, but.
Yeah. Just because he's your boss doesn't mean you have to help him. Okay. All right. Don't try to get this next question wrong. Okay, so Dustin, you are up.
I will go green things for 200.
Thank you for picking a different category. Green things for 200. This Canadian bill, which is money, is green.
I'm actually not sure what the Canadian currency is. What is the dollar?
What is the dollar? The correct answer is, what is a $20 bill?
I need to get up north.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough. I did not know they had different color.
I didn't know that
bills. Either. but Dustin, I am subtracting $200 from you, or 200 points from you.
All right.
All right, Andy, back to the top.
All right. Let's go Irish symbols for 200.
Irish. By the way, I have no idea what Irish symbols are, but we're going to figure it out.
I'm a little concerned.
Okay. Irish symbols for 200. What are 3 words to describe a leprechaun? Try to give it PG.
I'll say Aaron go bra.
Aaron go. Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer. Can I
phone a green character?
Yeah. I have no idea on this one, but we'll see. Let's see what the answer is. Magical, small, tiny, invisible, greedy, cheerful, happy, and tricky.
Okay.
I vote we go ahead and give him points for that answer.
Wait. Yeah, hold on. Context here, Mr. Benjamin. Now, come on.
Listen, I did not pick these questions. This was automatically generated from St. Patrick's Day Jeopardy I found online. I did not make this stuff up. So
you don't have to protect Crystal. We know she's the mastermind behind this.
This is true. But the consensus is that we give you points. So good job, Andy. You got 3 points. All right. So
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. 300.
For 100. 300.
For 100. Oh, for 100. Excuse me. For 100. St. Patrick's Day is on this calendar date.
Oh my gosh. It's March. I don't know. March 14th. I forgot.
March 14th. Correct answer is March. What is March 17th? Oops. What is March 17th?
Oh, March 17th.
That's a good thing that you don't know, I guess. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. There's probably a reason why you're the founder and president and CEO of the company. You didn't waste a lot of days on March 17th. All right. Dustin.
I need to catch up here. So I am going to go Irish math for 500.
Oh. Ooh. All right. Really excited for this one. Irish Math or 5 Holland. Colin, Ritza, and Melina put their gold coins together. Colin had 3. Ritza had 8. Million had 4. How many did they have all together?
15. Can you hear me? Am I doing my math right?
I don't know if he froze or.
I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. I said, what is 15?
15. All right. So what is 15? And the correct answer is 15. All right. You can do math, Dustin. Good job. All right. So you're catching up. You are catching up. I like it. All right. Last round, final round. This will decide the winner. Andy.
All right. Go big or go home. We'll go green things for 500, Peter.
Oh, green things, 500. These trees stay green in the winter.
What is an evergreen?
What is an evergreen? That is a correct answer. That is a correct answer. Good job. All right. Andy's in the lead, 900. Actually, based off math.
That puts us out of contention.
That does put you out of contention. So based off math, Andy, you're the winner.
They did give me a few points there, so I think we can.
They did. We can. All right. So let's ask the final questions about Dewar and Dustin. Dewar, it's your turn.
I'll do green foods for 500. See if I could pick up something. I don't know.
If you get it, we know you won because Andy got a freebie. I am an unusual. Let's go. I am an unusual fruit because my skin is hairy and olive green.
Skin is hairy and olive green. Oh, is it oh my God, is it a kiwi? No,
we're going to lock in kiwi.
What is it?
Kiwi?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
There you go, Dewar.
Nice.
All right, Dewar.
All of the scoreboard shows 900 points for Andy. We all know Dewar is really in the lead. We all know with 800 points. All right, last question. Dustin, go big or go home?
I'll take St. Patrick's Day for 500.
St. Patrick's Day 500. The letters Saint and St. Patrick stand for this word. Or
this is
the
letters
ST and St. Patrick's Day stand for this word. Street, Saint, Stain, or Santa.
Oh my God.
Let me think for a few moments, please. Can I get an extension of time on this one?
Now I don't feel bad for the 3 points.
Right. I will say, what is to Saint?
Saint. The correct answer is Saint.
I didn't know this was also basketball where I was getting layups.
This is true. By the way, I never would have thought that would have been a 500 point question, but here we are. Well, gentlemen, that wraps up.
That was fun.
St. Patrick's Day Jeopardy 2023. I appreciate you participating in our little game. I have to say, unofficially, Andy is the winner. Officially, Dustin and Dewar tied for first place. So again, gentlemen, thank you very much for participating. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoyed it so much.
Fun. Yeah,
Thanks,
enjoyed it very much.
Of course. So guys, this brings us to the end of our podcast. I first want to thank Lender Price once again for sponsoring today's episode. Without your support, we would not be able to bring such great content to Acuma members. I also want to thank Andy for taking time out of his busy day to share his insight into what started off as a conversation about learning and how learning translates to culture and culture translates to learning. It also talked about leadership and being a strong leader. So Andy, thank you for that. And to Dewar and Dustin, I truly enjoyed spending a little bit of time with you and spending some sharing the conversation with Andy with you. And to everyone else listening, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to listen to this podcast. And be on the lookout for several great things we have happening over at Acuma. Until next time, be safe, be well. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time at the Acuma On Point podcast. If not already, be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. For more great episodes and information, be sure to visit us online at acuma.org. And to get the latest updates, head over to our LinkedIn page.